feel like when I say to our clients, people buy when they're ready to buy, not when you're ready to sell. It's like, oh my God, I'm pushing them too hard, too fast, too soon.
Y'all, today's show is so good.
But number one, I've never seen an intro like that.
It is my hope and desire that not only will episode 30 still be fun, but episode 300 will be even more fun. You were made for something great, so go and be awesome.
Ten seconds remaining.
My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's show is so amazing, and partly because of our incredible sponsor, Executive Help Now. At Executive Help Now, we are all about simplifying your business so you can focus on what really matters, from streamlining operations to managing administrative tasks and keeping everything organized. Our team is here to help you thrive. Hit us up at www.executivehelpnow.org. Y'all, today's guest is nothing short of amazing. Let me tell you, Christi Stafford is the founder of Automation on a Mission, which is dedicated to reducing small business failure through smart sales and marketing automation. With over 20 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, Christi witnessed the challenges entrepreneurs face firsthand and developed a system to simplify business growth. Since 2014, she has helped clients generate millions in revenue, streamline operations, and scale with confidence. By offering done-for-you solutions, expert guidance, and a supportive community, Christi empowers business owners to achieve success without overwhelm. Y'all, put your hands together for Christi Stafford. Christi,
hello. I loved that intro.
Thank you. I love being able to say it because, as I was mentioning, automation. If any business is going to go anywhere, they've got to learn how to automate.
100%.
My word. And we've been doing this for a while, so we got some experience.
Totally.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything yourself manually. You know, manual labor is so 2024. Definitely need to automate. But Christi, tell us a little bit about you and your journey as you started Automation on a Mission.
Alrighty. So you shared in that awesome welcome message about who I am and where I came from, that my background before starting this business was in the nonprofit space. So I already came into the entrepreneurial world with a lot of that sort of scrappy, be the master of all the things kind of thing. So, you know, when it was time for me to leave the nonprofit world, really, I just needed that sort of push to say, okay, what's next? This is the not so sexy part of the story. I got a master's degree in organizational leadership, and I spent my entire time in school joking about how I was going to get a job at Google, pushing the coffee cart and make $80,000 a year. Failed to actually consider how one uses the degree to earn a living. The whole inspiration for even doing anything really came because I had to go back and call the school and say, well, what does one do with a degree in organizational leadership? And they planted the seed to consult. And that's essentially how the whole business was started. Was somebody else had to say, hey, you've got all this experience and you have this knowledge and education. It's time to put that to good use to help serve a new audience. And when I started the business, I really couldn't do anything but what I'm doing today. So 11 years in business, and I have been focused on systems, processes, how to scale your business. And it has been focused around building automated solutions pretty much since day one. There was a brief moment where I thought I would be a coach, but it turns out I'm actually rather bossy, and I just want to skip all the transformation and let's just get straight to the solutions. And that's essentially how the business was born. So I really was meant to do this. And I no joke, I wake up in the morning and think, what can I automate today? So
wow, that is so awesome. So awesome. I love organizational leadership that your counselor said, go into consulting.
Yeah. I could have probably asked that question earlier, but I'm so glad that the advice was given, because it's obviously been a pretty great success. So
well, yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you took all those learnings and was able to basically parlay them or transfer them into systems and automation. So it made it so much easier for you once you actually started your business. Like, oh yeah, I learned in my degree, all of these things are factors. Now let's just automate it.
totally. Yeah. And I will say that when I first started the business, I had an audience of 2 people, and I bought my first automation solution so that I could send an email to my mom and my brother on a consistent basis. I think that they're still on my mailing list. I wouldn't know for sure, but like before I knew I even needed, or before I had the capacity to really execute, I really made sure that I had this one important thing, because it was such a foundational element, not just in terms of what I was teaching to our clients, but also making sure that my business was set up for success from the very get-go.
Right, absolutely. But why is that so important for business growth? What impact have you seen when a company switches from what they're currently doing to automating?
Yeah.
Why is that so important, and what have you seen?
So you're kind of actually asking the question that poses the biggest objection that we encounter, and that is people have this belief or assumption that their business doesn't need it because they're too small, they're not making enough money, they're not doing X, Y, and Z, and they have this like mythical milestone that they need to achieve. But the reality is that by the time they get there, they have achieved this idea of success that they now have to maintain, but they did it the hard way to get themselves there. So automation is really the tool that helps propel you forward. I like to say that I believe that systems scale growth. So you can certainly grow a business one brick at a time, but wouldn't it be amazing to have a big truck that carries all the bricks, and then you can put them in the right place at the right time versus having to manually constantly be doing all that heavy lifting, because that's just exhausting. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, 100%. And it's so true that it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot,
right?
by not automating first. And because the automation is what makes the scaling easier, right, and quicker, and more.
And it's the foundation that you can grow from. Yeah,
absolutely. I totally get that. As a business owner, I'm sure our audience does too, that, if you want to do something big, you could go the long way around and do every single thing manually. But honestly, who's got time for that? No one, really. Right. And so we want to make the most efficient use of our time, not just our time, but the time of our people. We don't want our people picking up all these different things to do all these different things when they can just push a button.
100%. Yeah. And also, what are the potential opportunities that might be left out or missed or overlooked or slip through the cracks simply because you're doing things yourself one at a time and you can't keep up with the volume?
Right. Exactly. 100%. So then, Christi, what would you say are the keys stages that the customer might go through, like the customer journey, and where do most businesses lose potential customers when they're thinking about this whole automation system or this automation process and this customer journey? What often gets missed?
So I like to think about the customer journey in 3 buckets, and each of these buckets have their own individual steps. But if you can remember the 3 buckets and how you're building in your systems and processes into those individual buckets, then you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead in terms of making sure that nobody is slipping through the cracks and you're not missing opportunities. So those 3 buckets are the attract, the sell, and the wow stage of your business. In each one of those 3 buckets, we have lost opportunities, hidden opportunities, missed sales. So when we think about it from the attract stage, what we're thinking about and what we're talking about is, what are the people, how are the people being treated, taken care of when they first learn about who you are, what you do, but they're not necessarily ready to buy. The attract stage is us understanding who our ideal client is, making sure that we're creating an invitation that draws people into our world and into our community. And where the hidden opportunities are is, a lot of times people go from, here, learn this thing about me, and to buy my stuff. And they've skipped a really important step of building know, like, and trust. And we hear this idea of, people don't buy products, they buy because they love us. They buy from me because they built that relationship with me. And the way that we do that in this day and age, recognizing that people are going to be on their own timetable, is with automation. We automate the rapport building process so that we can do that fairly, equally, equitably with all of the people that are coming into our ecosystem. In the selling stage, it's making sure that the selling process itself is a clear and easy process. So what does it look like to buy from you? Do you have clear and transparent pricing? Can they go to your website and just buy willy-nilly, or do they have to book time with you? Do they have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops that you risk them essentially running out of interest before they get to the finish line? And then how do you deliver value? How do you help a happy, satisfied customer feel that you care about them, that you're not just going back to finding the next new, latest, greatest lead, that you've created as much of a long-term relationship with those people and are creating opportunities for them to buy from you again and again? Those are where those opportunities might be lost. And what you can do to automate delivering value with a happy, satisfied customer, delivering value when they make a purchase, giving them an opportunity to refer business to you, because the second cheapest client to get or customer to get is referred business. The cheapest client is the one that's already bought from you once before, because you've already done all the hard work and heavy lifting.
Right. Oh, I love that. Such great golden nuggets of wisdom that you shared. And it really resonated with me when you were talking about this customer journey and how people need to be attracted, you need to sell to them, and then you got to wow them, but you can't do that until they know, love, and trust you.
Absolutely.
So that whole automating that know, love, trust process, I think I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it feels like opposites. It feels like if it's automated, how can it be authentic?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So help me understand or get clarity around that and wrap my head around it so I can reconcile it and move on with my life.
Okay. So when you are clear as to who you serve, you're writing to that person. You are talking to that person. And so, like, for example, I have an ideal client avatar. Her name is Scaling Sarah, and she looks like my clients. And I can literally, I can visualize, now Scaling Sarah is my avatar, but maybe my client Jane or my client Judy or my client Samantha are like, they're the actual people that I'm talking to. The pain points, the things that they've struggled with, the things that they are wanting in their lives, in their business, are essentially the same. When I speak to those things, I'm speaking from the heart to them. And the thing that makes your automated messaging impactful and feel personal is when they can see themselves in the communication that you're speaking. So we're all, and guilty is a bad word for this, but we're all known to have taken this really amazing email that we wrote to this one person and said, I want to say the same thing to this other gal or guy over here, so I'm just going to copy and paste. That's essentially all you're doing when you automate the process of building know, like, and trust. And we never know what's going to move the needle for one person versus another. Like, it could be as simple as me telling the story about why you don't want to wait, or why you want to hire somebody to do this work for you instead of you doing it yourself. Both of those emails could be equally impactful, but maybe for this person over here, it's the hire somebody else to do the work. Whereas this person over here, it's the, oh my God, I'm that person who's waiting for a day that doesn't need it. I don't need to wait. I can get started today. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I love the way you broke that down, because now I understand that automation works best. This is the way I understand what you said. automation works best when you have your ideal client avatar and you speak directly to the avatar of your ideal clients in such a way that resonates with where they are in that particular time and space to fill that gap or that need that they have.
Well, and let's take it one step backwards. The ideal client and the messaging to that ideal client exists because that's what marketing is for. You want to market to your ideal client because when you try to create messaging for anyone, your messaging falls flat because our interests, our needs, our desires, our struggles, the thing that's going to make us say yes or no is all different. So I like to use an example of one of our earliest clients, Jenna, who came to us. Now she was clear. She was like, I serve women. And I'm like, that's great. And she was a health coach. Okay, but who do you serve? And when we sat down and went through some exercises around asking some key questions about the patterns in her own business, like what she was already succeeding at, it had become clear that she was serving two different client avatars. One, women in burnout, and one, a woman in corporate thinking about leaving the corporate scene. Now, both of those are women, but their problems that they're trying to solve are not the same. And so once she was clear on, oh my God, it's okay to serve both of them, and it's okay to be super clear on who they are, then she could make offers and create messaging for them. And so having that clarity as to who you serve only helps you get crystal clear on what your messaging is. And that is marketing. The automation allows us to do all of those things and also go to bed at night, have dinner with our family, go on vacation, and know and understand that when that person says, I'm ready to buy, I'm ready to move forward, you have continued to stay the test of time. You have run the marathon with them while also running marathon with 100 other people in their own timeline. And so that's the sort of thing that makes all of that work is you are putting yourself in a position to say, I'm not going to make you buy or ask you to buy when you're not ready, but I'm here when you are.
Right. I love that. That makes perfect sense. To speak to them, meet them where they are, let marketing do their thing. And then along with that, we're kind of in tandem to carry out that message to that particular avatar in the way that most resonates with them.
Yeah, and serves them. And that, I think, is the real magic sauce. I feel like when I say to our clients, people buy when they're ready to buy, not when you're ready to sell. It's like, oh my God, I'm pushing them too hard, too fast, too soon. And now all of a sudden it makes the case for why you want to spend a little time creating this content that serves you for as long as necessary.
Right. That's so good. So can you share an example of a business that significantly improved its revenue by fixing its automation gaps?
Sure. So one of my favorite stories, now we work with a diverse group of clients, but what I will say is that our sweet spot is typically service-based businesses, but automation does fit businesses of all shapes and sizes. So I worked for several years with a series of different master spa stores and master spa dealers. So they sold hot tubs and swim spas, and they were brick and mortar stores. And so one opportunity that I had was I actually traveled to a client's site, and we were building out his automations for his customer journey. And he said to me, my customers are transactional customers. And I was like, well, why do you say that? And he said, because they make this big one-time $50,000 purchase. And unless they have a problem, I never hear from them again. And I was like, okay, well, what's the problem that they have? Because then my spidey senses had gotten up. And he said, cloudy water. It's a party stopper. And I will never forget that answer. It was so weird and random. And I just had this visual of like, you bring all your friends and family over for the Super Bowl and you got your wings and you got your hot tub, but oh my gosh, the hot tub is cloudy and nobody's going to get in it. The irony about this whole thing was I'm sitting in their store that was literally wall to wall, chemicals, filters, and all these smelly good products that you can put in the hot tub to make it like aromatic. And I'm like, but why aren't you selling them these things? And they said they take their business elsewhere. And I'm like, but why not do something about that? So what we ended up doing was, the other thing I'd learned, because I'd never owned a hot tub or a swim spa myself, was I found out that you can't just stick it in the back of your car. It's a multi-week process that you go through from the time that you make that payment to the time that it's delivered at your property. And so we developed a multi-week follow-up series that happens after somebody buys. And basically those emails and messages all were with the intention of helping the buyer prepare their property. What's your electricity like? Do you have a flat spot? Hey, a crane is going to show up to your house. Are you ready? And ultimately, most of those things weren't true issues, but what it did was it helped make sure that everybody was in the same position, ready to rock and roll when the hot tub was delivered. But it also gave that sense of confidence to the new buyer. This is a brand new customer who you just gave a large sum of money to. So you want them to not feel like you just took all their money and ran away with it. So it helped them understand these are the things that they need to do. These are the things that you're doing as a business to make sure that it's a seamless experience. And then after that hot tub was delivered, then we started a new series of emails that were all about helping them get the most out of their hot tub. Hey, did you know that you can use this for injury recovery? Or let's use your hot tub and swim spa for exercise. By the way, we sell these floaty things that you can put your snacks in and your drinks and stuff like that and, make it a party. So we were doing things to add value after the purchase. And because we know what they bought, we also then knew, when do you need a chemical? When do you need to change out the filter in your machine? And so we then started a reminder series. And buy your products from us, we'll make sure that we solve the problem before it becomes a problem. Let's take that one step further and give you a subscription program. So before you need a new filter, it's sitting on your doorstep ready for you to swap it out and you're ready to rock and roll. And so number one, we solved the problem of cloudy water. Number two, we delivered value that helped them understand the buying and delivery process. And number three, we helped them see the value over time so that they were avoiding the problems and getting the most out of their hot tub. And the outcome or the consequences of that were, number one, raving fans that shared testimonials and like super happy work. Tens of thousands of dollars in revenue was essentially coming into the business simply because they're not taking that business somewhere else. And the best part of this story and why I like to tell it now is when I moved into this house, now they were in Ohio, so I couldn't buy from them. I wanted to buy a hot tub when we moved into this house. And my friend down the road had a hot tub. I knew that she bought it a year before. I asked her, hey, where'd you buy your hot tub from? No idea. No memory. A year later, she had no idea who she did business with because once that hot tub was delivered, she never heard from them again. And 2-3 years before that, I'd created this system for one master spa dealer and then replicated that process for 6 to 10 other master spa dealers. So from a master spa perspective, I'm like raining money for them because all their stores are thriving with a really easy solution. And the secret behind all of it was follow up and value to their existing customer.
Wow. That deserves a hand clap. I don't know if we have a hand clap sound effect, but that is so fantastic.
I'm really passionate about that story because the answer was so obvious. And again, it was just a hidden opportunity that once it was tapped into, the potential was it was huge.
Right. Wow. How genius and just brilliant of you to just see that and know how to fix it, have a solution immediately. Just look around, people. Do you see all the stuff on the walls?
Let's get rid of this inventory.
Right, exactly. And how awesome is it? One of the things I love about what you do is that you keep the clients or the customers engaged from the beginning of just inquiring about, finding out who they are and what their needs are all the way through the entire journey.
Yeah.
Even after they've signed the paperwork, and even then, what to expect next and how to make the most of this new thing that they have. I love that story. I absolutely love it. Now, we were talking earlier about mistakes that are typically made along the customer journey when people are trying to start automating things. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that businesses make when trying to automate their sales and marketing? Is that different?
I would say, and I do want to touch on this one because I think it's probably the biggest mistake that we see over and over again. And that is a lack of follow-up. I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs, and I want to call that out specifically because what we find is that women have a greater tendency to wrap their self-worth and their value in their success with generating leads, with closing sales. And so we watched for ages this poor self-esteem or degrading self-esteem because I'm not a good salesperson, or I'm really bad at creating lead magnets, or whatever the thing was. When reality was, they were getting people into their funnel, into their marketing strategy. What they weren't doing was creating a flow that, again, allowed their people to buy on their own timeline. And that's the reality of what automation does for us. So right now, the statistics say it takes no less than 20 touches for someone to take an action. And what that means is email, text message, phone call, postcard, carrier pigeon, whatever you want to call it. It takes time for us to be able to build that trust. And we have to be able to do that on their time. And so one of my favorite personal stories is I signed up for a coaching program in summer of 2022. And I first joined this guy's email list in July of 2020. And so it took me 3 years to be ready to say yes. And the reason he was the one was because he was at the right place at the right time with the right offer. And you can't do that in 2025 without automation. So how do you build in, or how do you avoid those mistakes of giving up on somebody? Because most businesses, more than 48% of salespeople, do not follow up more than 2 times. And your odds of closing that sale are 2%. If you follow up 4 times, your odds of closing that sale are 3%. So twice the effort, and you only increase your chances of a successful sale by 1%.
Wow.
So where people slip through the cracks, where you lose the opportunity, is simply not having the systems in place to ensure that you are taking care of people behind the scenes.
Right. Absolutely. And I'm not sure that people know that you need to be in people's faces. I want to say be in people's faces like 20 times before they will typically make a buying decision. But they say timing is everything. So, and like you said, you can't make people buy before they're ready. You just can't. There's just no.
And they shut you out. They tune you out when, So, and it's not saying that you can't make an offer before 20 times, but what it means though is don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Make sure that you have the right kind of follow-up so that when somebody is ready to take an action, you never, yes, we can look at statistics to see who's opening our emails, to see who's clicking our emails. But like I said before, the catalyst for somebody to take that action today is not always going to be the same. For one person, it literally could be my story about hot tubs. Whereas for the other person, it could be hearing me say, people buy when they're ready to buy. Both of those things are equally important. And what matters to you right now, what's the hot topic that you're talking about with your team, with your mentor, with your coach? That's the thing that's going to hitch in the heart.
Right. Absolutely. So what would you say then? So we were talking about sales and marketing and making sure that you automate. And so in those 20 touches, would you say to make an offer in every touch?
Every offer should have a call to action. The call to action shouldn't be to buy. That is a great question, by the way. Thank you for asking that. So, and that is true for everything. So even if you're not in the place where you're ready to make a sale. So for example, most funnels, for most businesses, we start with some sort of pre-offer. So it could be a lead magnet, it could be a coupon, things like that. Our first emails already have a call to action. It's how do you take advantage of that thing? Download my lead magnet, click here to get your coupon. That call to action is actually the metric that matters the most. And then moving forward, you can continue to deliver value, share stories, give the information that you need to give. There should always be an invitation to do something, buy something, get on a call, whatever that might be. And the reason for that is it used to be in older school online marketing, the metric of success was, oh, my open rate is such and such percentage. But especially with the big changes with privacy, with Apple rolling out their privacy and then everybody else that followed suit, is besides the fact that email open rates don't indicate that somebody's read the email, they're also a false accurate number today, because it's not giving you, if I say on my cell phone, which most of us are consuming our stuff on our cell phone, if I say don't track that information, you're not going to know whether I opened or I didn't open. So that's one piece. The other side is just because they open doesn't mean that they've read it. And so if you put an actionable item like click this button, book here, buy this here, then what you are doing is creating a metric to say, I know that they've at least read to this point. Now that number is drastically lower than our open rate, but it is the metric that tells me how effective I am to that point in a message.
Got it. And that's called the click-through rate, right?
Click-through rate. Yep.
Okay, got it. All right. So I guess I did learn a little bit of something in my marketing class.
And I'm refraining from getting super nerdy and technical about emails, but all those same rules apply for your text messages as well.
Wow. Yeah, no, this is awesome, because I think breaking it down like this is super helpful for most business owners. I know it's super helpful for me, just because getting known and making connections, making new sales, bringing in new clients, bringing in new customers, that's what our job is as owners, is to continue to develop the business, do business development and grow, help the business grow, whether it be assigning folks for lead generations or sales or whatever that looks like.
Right.
It's an integral part of running a business. And a lot of people hear about a marketing funnel or a funnel this or a funnel that, and they're like, oh, it's too intimidating. Don't know enough about it. Forget it. I'm not doing it. And they hold themselves back out of just lack of understanding or fear of the unknown. And automating seems like too much out of their control. Like they don't have enough control over what is happening, when in actuality, it's the opposite. So anyways, I appreciate the breakdown.
Can I add to that real quickly?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think also I kind of mentioned like old school online marketing email. So the other thing that I think people have had to re-educate themselves on is, and this is part of my this is why automation matters so much, is you know where you stand. So a business that's just in survival mode, part of what's happening there is you have no idea what's working and what's not. You don't have a clear strategy that you can execute on, refine, improve, optimize. But with automation, and the thing that we need to reach some people's mindset around is it's not set it and forget it. Automation allows you to know and understand exactly how every single email, how every single action, how every single event in a workflow or in an automation is performing. And between that content there and your own user experience with your clients, with your prospects, you can then go back and improve. So an example that I can use in real time is that Automation on a Mission as a program has an extensive onboarding process. We have about 14 different emails that go out, and it spans a 2 or 3 week period of time. We're on version 6.0 in 3 years. And the reason that we're there is because every time we launch a new iteration, we uncover the next round of things that don't feel quite right. How can we perfect this so the experience is as frictionless as possible for us and for the people that are going through that as a brand new client? So that idea of wowing your client, your customer, we can't do that if we're constantly doing it one step at a time manually, and we don't know really where we stand because we don't get the data to support our assumptions and our theories.
Right. Which is so important to make wise business decisions, to make the best use of your dollars. Yeah. You know, you don't want to be throwing away perfectly good money on a system or at something that you don't even know factually is the cause or issue or whatever the solution to the problem is.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So I know that we're getting short on time, but I have so many more questions. Like, this is so good because as a business owner, we want to scale. Absolutely. But sometimes when some people think about automation, it's hard to know how to balance the personalization to reach the customer. So to maintain those strong customer relationships, how do we keep the warm fuzzy as we're automating?
I really think it's all about storytelling. So knowing who it is that you're communicating with and then telling stories that they're going to be most interested in. So when I talk about 20 plus touches, I'm not asking you to follow up with your people 20 times. I'm asking you to use that platform to tell stories about successes that you've had with clients that look and feel just like them. Share testimonials because you can hope that they go out and review your testimonials, or you can spoon feed them to them. If you are clear on who you serve and you've had sales conversations with those people, then you also see where the patterns are in what are the objections that you need to overcome in order to get them to say yes. How can you proactively use that information to, again, tell stories or to share the rationale? So as an example, automation on a mission, automating your business, one of the most common objections we hear is, I'll get started when, and then you can just fill in the blank. Money, number of clients, when I have a building, whatever those circumstances might be, there's this idea of I need to arrive at some sort of mythical destination in order to be mature enough to need automation. I know that exists for most of the people that we talk to. So I'm going to proactively talk about it before the objection ever comes up. I'm going to explain why you have to have automation from the very get-go. I said when I started my business, I had 2 people on my list, my mom and my brother. I was paying a lot of money for a system that I didn't need then, but it put me in a position to propel my growth forward. It is always going to be easier to build a house on a solid foundation than it is on a sandy beach. And when you are building, growing, and scaling without it, so on and so forth. That's what I tell our client. That's how I share that same story in our emails. So when I see or have that experience, I write about it. I stick it into my nurture series. So that way I'm making that personal connection by telling a story about a conversation I had. And the reader feels that they can see themselves in that story.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's so good. That's just so brilliant. Have I said brilliant already? I think I probably said brilliant like 10 times already in this podcast.
Thank you.
So then as we think about other small businesses or big businesses, what are some of the first practical steps that someone can take to implement automation effectively, no matter where they are, whether they've got 2 people or 100 people?
Yep. Or just themselves. So if you're like, I'm going to get started and you don't have anything automated, what I would start with is calendar booking. So again, 2025, and I could have chosen so many different things, but this one feels like, because it's going to give you a big picture perspective on a lot of the moving parts that come with automation. So number one, we want to, again, reduce friction. And when I say reduce friction, I mean, what are the things that make this part of the customer journey feel icky, feel hard, feel like me or them have to work a little extra hard than they need to? Because if we have things that cause those stumbles, we risk losing them. So when it comes to calendaring, when you can send a link, you eliminate the back and forth. And the back and forth is what makes it really easy for your email to go unanswered. So if you send an email that says, I can do this, and this, and they're like, I don't have those days, I can do this. At some point in time, that loses its steam or loses its momentum. And you're asking them to be really invested when they may not be. And so the calendar link allows you to, 1, control your calendar, create some healthy boundaries, et cetera, and then you send that link out. And I like to say, to make things easy, here's my calendar link, so on and so forth. And you can custom tailor those calendar links so that they are specifically for different kinds of meetings. And then the other piece, and this is, I think, where the magic of the automation comes in, you have the appointment reminders and the follow-up that can come along with those things. And all that does is increase the likelihood or the show-up rate of that person without you having to do any sort of manual, hey, don't forget. I always feel bad for the people who schedule something with me, and I know that they didn't use any automation, because I know that text message I got at some random time is them actually doing that themselves when it doesn't need to be.
Right. Got you. That's a perfect example, an absolutely perfect example, because as a virtual assistant service agency, we do a lot of calendar management. Right. And all those emails going back and forth. And so, yes, we completely understand and get that. But, when people are trying to just meet with me, I'm like, look, here's my calendar link. Feel free to use it to find some matching availability. Looking forward to connecting. And yes, definitely with the reminders, and looking forward to seeing you, and then doing the meeting and then follow up and saying, it's great meeting you, blah, 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 the whole 9. And then pointing them to whatever they need to have. So yeah, totally get that. And I think that is an excellent first step to kind of dip your toe in the water of automation, because it's simple and it's easy to implement. And once you see the workflow of it all, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then when your customer's like, getting with them was very easy. So I wonder if the rest of the experience will be just as easy as I'm getting ready to engage them with services.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
And the other thing is most of us by this point in time have already booked. We've been on the receiving end. So it's not like we can't conceptualize what's happening.
Right. Exactly. Because it's becoming more and more commonplace.
Right.
You know, it's like everyone's doing it. It's like, wait, you don't have a calendar link? Wait, what? What are you, 2024? All right. So then, Christi, where is automation heading in the future? How can we be prepared and stay ahead of the game in terms of innovation and technology, automation? Where are we headed?
Well, I don't think that I'm sorry, I don't think I just gave you my answer. I don't think that automation is going anywhere. What I think is going to happen over the next couple of years, and I feel like that's probably conservative, is I think that AI is going to create more ease with automation. I think that right now it requires a little bit of a heavy lift in the beginning to get a solution set up and automated. Whereas I think moving forward, you're going to be able to go into a tool like ChatGPT or into a tech platform that has automation and say, I want to do this, 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 and this, and it's just going to build it for you. I think that that's the future that we're going to see in the very soon. If we make it 2 years, I'll be shocked. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see it in the next year.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And to me, that excites me. Does that excite you?
It does. I mean, I think it's going to make, again, that scaling. I don't know about you, but I use ChatGPT to write email. I don't use it by itself, but I think what used to take me a long time, like I'm going to sit down for a day, now maybe takes me an hour or two to tell it what I want, spit it out, rewrite it so that it fits me. I think that's what AI is going to continue to do for us. It's just going to help cut time. I think there's always going to be things that you can't replace the human, but I do think it's going to make the work that I do, the work that small businesses do around building and scaling their own businesses so much easier.
Yeah, I agree 100%. 100%. Some people really are intimidated by AI. They fear AI. They think that AI is evil. And in the wrong hands, it probably is. But for us regular business schmoes, it is our friend.
It's a huge time saver. Huge time saver.
Absolutely, 100%. So as we get ready to wrap up then, Christi, if no one remembers a single thing that you've said today, what do you want them to take away from today's show?
Follow up. Make sure that you have follow up. Follow up for every stage of the customer journey. Attract, sell, and wow. Follow up at every stage.
Awesome. I love it. That's fantastic. And then how do we reach you? How do we stay connected? There's so many people in the audience who are in this place of needing to automate, afraid to automate, don't know how to automate, don't want to take the time to find out how to automate. How do they reach you so you can take all of that off their plate?
Okay, so our website should be pretty easy to remember. It is automationonamission.com. And you can go on our website and book time with me. You can even sign up for our program, which is an all-in-one technology platform with a strategy that we implement and set up customized specifically for you and your business, and also a community to grow and scale your business in, because it focuses all on the sales and marketing. So come here, learn about what we do, learn about automation. And if you have questions, that Work With Us button will take you to my calendar where you can book some time.
I love it. What a beautiful site. Automationonmission.com. .com. That is awesome. What a great picture. I love it. Well, we definitely want to stay in touch and continue this conversation because it is truly amazing and it will help not only us, but every business owner stay cutting edge, ahead of the curve, innovative, and being able to quickly find solutions to help people by creating systems and automations in place to help them be able to respond more effectively and efficiently to the needs of their clients and customers.
Perfect.
So, any final closing remarks before we get ready to head out?
I feel very grateful to be here. Thank you so much, Renee, for having me. Your questions were really awesome. So I hope that the audience got a lot out of that. And like I said before, if you have questions, if you are like, I'm ready to dive in and I don't know where to get started, please hit me up on my calendar. We do all of the setup for our clients. So if you're like, I have so much to do, don't stress. We do it for you.
Wow, I love that. Christi, you were made for something great. So go and be awesome.
Thank you.